The Game of Thrones Season 7 trailer is here, and it looks amazing. Let's break it down and see what we can learn. Hi everyone, this is Robert. Welcome to In Deep Geek, particularly if you're a first-time viewer. Please do consider subscribing if you enjoy the video. We start with the Lannisters. Cersei is now firmly in place as Queen in King's Landing, but her place on the throne is not secure. As she says, enemies are everywhere, north, south, east and west. And her response to this is typical of her. She's going on the offensive. Whatever stands in our way, she says, we will defeat it. And we have a glimpse of the makeover that there has been to the Red Keep's throne room. Notice the Lannister lions as decoration. There is no pretense here that Cersei is on the throne through being Robert's widow or as a bereaved mother to Joffrey and Tommen. She is there as a Lannister queen. We also see the Lannister army on the march, presumably west to Highgarden or south to Dorne, to face the enemies Cersei spoke of. Of the two, Highgarden would make the most sense. King's Landing will need continued access to food from the Reach as winter draws in. I love this map of Westeros painted on the floor that Cersei and Jaime are looking at. And, interestingly, they are looking at the north. And some bits of the map, the extreme northwest, seem to have been painted over in white. Are these the bits of the land that are now fully in winter? Perhaps. Whether that is a new thing or not, it shows that Cersei isn't just concerned with her neighbours in the south. We also hear her say one more thing, presumably to Jaime. We're the last Lannisters, she says, the last ones who count. The clear implication is that she doesn't count Tyrion, which is a reminder that House Lannister, like so many other noble houses in Westeros, the Tyrells and the Targaryens for example, is teetering on the edge of extinction after so many years of war and bloodshed. It's also a reminder that Cersei wants Tyrion dead. She still, unfairly, blames him for killing Joffrey, and, fairly, blames him for killing their father. She had bounty hunters scouring the land for him, and now he is returning as chief advisor to the woman who wants to take Cersei's throne. Expect conflict. Out at sea, we have a battle. One ship being boarded by another, and although it isn't clear, the attacking forces do seem to be carrying axes, meaning that they are probably ironborn. This is Euron, come to hunt down Theon and Yara. It's worth noticing the weather here. It seems foggy. Perfect weather for getting close to and attacking a fleet, particularly if you're trying to avoid dragons. For Yara and Theon are in Daenerys' invasion fleet, so if Euron is attacking that, he must be siding with Cersei. But where is Theon? He appears to be below decks while the attack is taking place. You can see he's in a ship by the steep wooden stairs in the right of this picture. And whatever the outcome of the battle itself, it appears that two figures escape, diving into the sea. It looks as though one is perhaps saving the other, just as a burst of flame goes overhead, from a dragon perhaps. Regardless of what happens in that sea battle, it's apparent that Daenerys and at least most of her forces make it safely across the narrow sea. We see Daenerys arriving at Dragonstone. This is her kneeling to touch the sand on the beach. This is a hugely symbolic place for her. As well as having a strategic importance, Dragonstone is synonymous with Targaryen rule in Westeros. It's where the Targaryens first settled when they left Valyria. And although they might have made King's Landing their capital after conquering Westeros, Dragonstone remained the family's home. Indeed, it's where Daenerys herself was born. And she has finally made it across the narrow sea. The Unsullied push open the gates of the castle for her. Apparently it isn't barred or defended since the fall of Stannis Baratheon, who had made it his home for the last couple of decades. And we do seem to have the answer to at least one outstanding question from last season. Where did Melisandre go after Jon banished her from the north? There were only two options really, back to Essos or to Dragonstone, where she had set up base after converting Stannis, and it looks like she chose Dragonstone, for here she is looking down at what may well be Daenerys climbing up to the castle. It will be an interesting encounter, Daenerys and Melisandre. Daenerys now has the official support of the cult of Rahilor as being the prince who was promised, but Melisandre obviously thought that that title belonged to Stannis, and then to Jon after Stannis was killed. Will she change her mind again? We've already heard Cersei say that she will eliminate any threats to her rule, and now we hear Daenerys say that she was born to rule the Seven Kingdoms. Something has to give, and Daenerys seems to be getting straight into her invasion plan, targeting the Lannisters. We see the Dothraki's feared cavalry in action, and here we see the Unsullied breaking into what looks like a Lannister stronghold, judging from the lions on the walls. Perhaps it's even Casterly Rock itself. Judging only from these small clips, Daenerys' invasion does seem to be going well. But then you'd expect that with a massive army and 3 dragons the size of 747s. In the north, we seem to pick up exactly where we left off last season. The Northern Lords are proclaiming Jon King of the North. And do you remember this look from Littlefinger to Sansa at the end of that scene? By rights, she should have been Lady of Winterfell. She's Ned Stark's oldest legitimate child, and Jon was even getting ready to declare her the new ruling Lady of Winterfell when Lyanna Mormont stood to hail Jon as King of the North. Sansa probably feels a bit hard done by, and Littlefinger is clearly going to try and stir things up between Sansa and Jon. Your father and brothers are gone, yet here you stand, he says to her, the last, best hope against the coming storm. It's worth pausing here to consider what Littlefinger thinks the coming storm is. Has he understood the threat from the White Walkers, or is he still fixating on the Iron Throne? And if so, how is she the last hope? It's an intriguing phrase. He's clearly trying to make her do something. But what? Take over Winterfell seems to be the most likely option. And this idea that Littlefinger is bringing conflict between Jon and Sansa is only highlighted by the image of Jon shoving him up against the wall of the crypts. What they are both doing down there isn't clear, but they are in front of Lyanna's statue, who in the show we found out is actually Jon's mother. And we know that Littlefinger has doubts about the story Ned Stark told about Jon's parentage. Could he be trying to tell Jon that he isn't a Stark after all? Surely the only thing that would get Jon that riled up would be some slight on his family. Further north, we see the gate in the wall go up. It appears that a small band of what looks like 12 warriors dressed in wildling furs are heading north of the wall on some mission. 2 of them are Jon and Tormund, but we don't see the faces of any of the others. And whatever they are there for doesn't seem to be going to plan. They are running from something. One of them is apparently holding an oar, which is a bit bizarre, and then they seem encircled. We don't see what happens next. Finally, as if to round everything off north of the wall, we hear Jon say that the Great War is here. We don't see the White Walkers or the Night King in this trailer, but make no mistake, it is probably them that Jon and Tormund are running from, and their shadow will loom over everything in Season 7. But that's not all, because the trailer gives us plenty of snapshots from other stories. We see Grey Worm and Missandei getting close, and then Yara and Ilaria Sand getting even closer. They're both very much on Team Dany at the moment, so there's nothing too surprising here. But don't forget that the last time Ilaria kissed someone, it was Myrcella, to poison her. We see the zombie Mountain, who appears to have a shiny new suit of armour. And we have this hand reaching out from a hole in a door or wall, It isn't clear, but this is probably Ser Jorah's arm. It's the same one he had the grayscale on, and it will almost certainly have spread even further by this stage. Put simply, his arm is starting to calcify. He's been ordered to search for a cure, but by this point he obviously hasn't found one. Finally, we have Arya, seemingly making her slow way north from the Riverlands on horseback, then making a camp. Most intriguingly, we have a very low camera shot watching her, and then later we see her crouch down to look at or for something. Could this be a shot from Nymeria's perspective? We last saw Arya's direwolf in Season 1, when Arya sent her away to save her life after she had bitten Joffrey. We might not have heard any more about Nymeria in the show, but in the books, Arya still has wolf dreams, and we hear reports of a direwolf leading a massive wolf pack in the Riverlands. At the end of last season, Arya reclaimed her identity as Arya Stark, not No One. There would be no better way to show this new identity than for her to return to Winterfell with her direwolf. As much as there is packed into this trailer, there is still a lot missing. We didn't see Bran, or Olenna, or Sam, or any of the new characters we've been promised. Nothing of the Citadel, no White Walkers, and no Brotherhood without banners or the Hound. So there's a lot more plot here that we still know nothing about. But there is a clear theme that is emerging from this trailer and the teaser trailers that preceded it. It's that all of the infighting in Westeros is just distracting humanity from the true enemy north of the Wall. As Sir Davos says, if we don't put aside our enmities and band together, we will die. And it doesn't matter whose skeleton sits on the Iron Throne. What do you think? What did you think of the trailer? What else can we learn from it? Let me know in the comments below. If you want to know when my next video comes out, then please click on the subscribe button. And if you'd like to support me in producing more videos like this, as well as getting access to more of my content, please click through to my Patreon page. I really do appreciate it. Thanks for watching. That's all for this time. I'll see you again soon.